that the need to urgently address the Almajiri system of education in Nigeria. Already some state governors have taken the lead by making legislation prohibiting, street.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The need to integrate Almajiri system into modern system of education in Nigeria is a matter of urgent national importance. The Senate notes that over the years, the federal government of Nigeria had made commendable efforts to reduce the menace of street begging by introducing Universal Primary Education UPE scheme in 1976 and reintroduced Universal Basic Education UBE in September 1999. The Senate further notes that the Almajiri happens to be one of the persons covered by the UBE Act 2004 for purposes of provision of basic education. The Universal Basic Education Act 2004, Part 1, Section 2, Subsection 1 states that every government in Nigeria shall provide free, compulsory, and universal basic education for every child of primary and junior secondary school age. The Senate also further notes that as of today, based on UNICEF findings, we have more than 14 million out-of-school children, most of them being Almajiri, roaming the streets of our major cities in Nigeria, begging for alms and food. Aware that the past administration of President Goodluck Jonathan embarked on a laudable project by building boarding Almajiri integrated modern schools in which these children are enrolled and given both Islamic and Western education, with their malams or teachers being employed to teach Quranic and other Islamic subjects in the schools. The project was launched in Sokoto State. The Senate is further worried that today, most of the structures are either lying fallow or put into uses other than what they were originally intended for. And some of the facilities in the Almajiri modern schools are already decaying as they have never been put into use. The Senate is further informed that 2 weeks ago, Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje of Kano State announced the ban on street begging in the state and launched the basic education service delivery for all. The new policy prohibits street begging and will penalize the parents or guardians of children caught begging on the streets. Observes that because of the Kano State government bold step, other state governors have followed suit, i.e. Nasarawa and Niger State, with the former inaugurating the Child Rights Protection Executive Order and the latter setting up a committee to fine-tune the modalities of the policy implementation. Disturbed that despite government efforts at integrating the Almajiri into modern education system, the implementation of the policy has not achieved the desired result. The Senate accordingly resolves to call on federal government to upgrade the existing Almajiri modern schools and build more to increase the number of schools enrollment, thereby reducing the number of out-of-school children on the streets. 2, mandates its Committee on Basic and Secondary Education to come up with ways and means of collaborating with the state government on how to get the 14 million children that are currently out of school enrolled in basic and secondary school programs. 3, call on the National Orientation Agency to initiate a sensitization program specifically on the issue of Almajiri and its negative impacts on the society, especially in the northern part of the country. I so move, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
Deputy Chief Whip.
Situated within the context of the legislative agenda of the Ninth Senate. You will recall, Mr. President, you flagged off this particular issue of out-of-school children as a major impediment that this Night Senate must tackle. And of course, within the context of the North, most of the out-of-school children we are talking about are the Almajiris. And I think the fact that some states in the North are finally rising up to the occasion shows that this issue requires our attention and it is long overdue. It is an abuse of the rights of these children, and of course, many of these children, when you have any engagement with them, do not even know why they are brought to where you see them. These parents just take them and dump them on some of these malams, who in turn are also exploiting these same children. And I think the bottom line here, and the fact that we must acknowledge, is that no matter how well other children are educated, no matter how well we give education to our children, these children that are abandoned in the name of Almajiri system will come out to be the key determinants of the success and progress our country makes. Because those who are left unattended to, who are left unkept, uneducated, and illiterate, will definitely in time grow up to know nothing other than to be recruited into criminality and other vices which abound in the country today. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, if you are following the spate of kidnappings and the reports you are getting, many of these children are actually, or the kidnappers and even those who are involved in this banditry, are product of this same system we are talking about. So this situates the importance with which this motion should be taken. And I think beyond this, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the idea of working together as a nation, perhaps under the National Economic Council, to tackle this problem as a national malaise, I think is long overdue. I want to urge my colleagues to support this motion and the prayers when we come to take them, because it is a problem long overdue for our attention. And I want to commend once again the mover of the motion for bringing it up. Thank you.
Is there anybody against the motion? Those against any, the ayes have it. And prayer 3, call on the National Orientation Agency to initiate a sensitization program specifically on the issue of the Almajiri and its negative impacts on children in the society, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Let me thank Senator Aliru for bringing this motion. We all know that the out-of-school children are at the moment a big problem to us as a country. They constitute not only social problems, but also security problems to some extent. And therefore, it is our duty to do whatever we can to ensure that they are captured, they are enrolled in the primary schools and secondary schools wherever is possible.